All right, man. We're out at Freedom Boat Club today. It's a beautiful day. A little too windy for us to be out on the water.
That's all right.
I still think the view looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're going to make the most of it.
What I love about Jacksonville. So awesome. How you been?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing very well. It's hard not to be doing good when you're
sitting out.
Yeah, sitting in the sunshine, nice breeze.
I finally picked my boat up.
Okay, speaking of boats.
I know. And I got back out on the St. Johns River, and it was absolutely perfect. It's been a little bit windy over the last couple of days, and I think we can talk a little bit about how that affects all of the boaters in Jacksonville. What I love about our great city is the water. And not too many cities, in fact, I don't think any cities can boast a river like ours, the Intercoastal Waterway, and then the ocean. So we're pretty excited to talk today to Lisa Almeida, the Boatanista.
She is the Boatanista.
I mean, I've listened to her commercials for a long time, and then I had a chance to have lunch with her a couple weeks ago talking about the chamber and different things like that. And after I walked away from lunch, I thought, man, her story is so amazing. We need to have her on the podcast.
She's got
Thank you so much.
We're so happy to have you today.
I'm excited to be here, and thank you for having me. And when people talk about it, I go, yeah, it's just some old broad that loves boating in Jacksonville.
That's not how I described you. I think it's you are definitely a very fun person who loves boating.
Yes, I am very passionate about my city, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the whole entire world. And I get how we get those phone calls all the time, sell your house. I'm like, take me off your list. Never selling my house, and leave me alone, and I'm not going anywhere.
That's awesome.
So
we were talking a little bit earlier about your history on the water. And it seems like you've been on the water your entire life.
Yes.
Why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners what your story is? Where did it start?
Well, it started with my parents.
Really?
So my parents were competitive water skiers. The jumping, the pyramids, my mom, hanging off my dad's back, Cypress Gardens, the tutus, the whole bit. And literally, this is really true. When my mom was 6 months pregnant, she was still practicing.
Oh, wow.
And the doctor was like, you have to stop. Like, you got to stop skiing. And so they stopped. 6 weeks after I was born, my mom was like, well, we couldn't quit practicing.
Right.
So my dad actually made a carrier for me that would float if I went overboard. And 6 weeks old, in the boat with them, he said they push me up underneath the bow, they do their practice run, take me out, feed me, give me some water. Back underneath I went, and I was on. So I've literally been smelling outboard motor oil since I was 6 weeks old.
So that's what it is. It's the motor oil.
That explains a lot.
It damaged my brain,
Or made you really fun.
Yes, yes.
It made me, but when you talked about Cypress Gardens, and you doing the acrobatic skiing, I immediately thought of, while you were talking, the Jaws movie where they were skiing and everybody knew the shark was behind them, but they didn't know it yet. And so have you ever had any encounters with?
So I have a confession to make. I never saw Jaws because I didn't want that. I didn't want that in my brain. I will say there's been times when I've seen an alligator, but we just wave and keep going. Dolphins, love to see the dolphins. That's just. I think that I'll, be 90 years old and still scream and be excited about seeing dolphins.
I think we're in the middle of a hurricane right now.
It's hurricane season, so we might as well just go with it.
This is going to be fun. What were you saying about boat hair?
Hair don't care.
I said you're going to get to really live my motto, which is boat hair, don't care.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know why I grew my hair out, but we'll. So your mom and dad on the water. You were basically born on the water. You've been around boats your entire life.
Yes.
Where did you grow up? What
so I grew up in Fort Lauderdale. So my parents actually got divorced when I was 7. And my mom loved the beach, loved the water. And we were living in Arizona, and she was like, I'm done. And we moved to Fort Lauderdale. And that's where I grew up. And actually, I didn't learn to ski until I was in high school because I didn't have my dad in the boat around at that time. And my mom got asked to do an exhibition at the Diplomat Hotel. And my friends and I went and watched, and I had friends that had boats and skied. Well, they saw my mom and they're like, so do you ski like that? I'm like, I don't ski. And they go, oh no, you're learning tomorrow. And they literally threw me in the water. And I think because it was in my DNA, I just got up and skied.
Wow.
And then I was like, oh my gosh.
You were hooked, huh?
Yeah, I was hooked. And then got, saw my dad more and did a lot of skiing with him. And, he taught me a lot of stuff and he taught me how to trick ski. And I have a great picture of my dad doing a side slide on trick skis and me doing a side slide, like side by side with each other. And it's like the form, it's like,
everything was
spitting image, right?
Spitting image, yeah.
That's amazing.
So did you compete as well? Did you do those types of competitions?
I didn't because, like I said, my mom didn't have a boat. I skied with friends and whatnot, but I loved the water. I loved boating. And then later on, I went to Flagler College and graduated and had some friends that had a boat and skied with them. And then when I started my career at Bell South, I was dating a guy who had a boat. And so literally every night after work, we were water skiing.
Yeah.
So Bell South, I think some of our listeners today may not remember Bell South and what it is today. But I had lots of family, friends that were related to Bell South because it was just such a big employer here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
What a great company. So telecom company. And I worked on the Yellow Pages side. And I'm sure some of our listeners
I was going to say,
they don't remember that.
My kids will be going, what are Yellow Pages?
So it was a phone book that had ads in it, and in its time was an incredible tool.
Yeah.
Great media tool, like made people a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so I had a 25-year career with Bell South, and it was awesome. I started as a sales rep selling Yellow Pages, got promoted to manager. And then I was the competitive field manager, the area trainer. And then my last job was the director of marketing for the whole 9-state region.
Wow.
So, and I loved my years at Bell South. Yeah, as a matter of fact, recently I was over at Mojo's getting a salad for lunch and ran into my old boss's son. And of course, I have a lot of pictures I'd posted and video. And I said, I wish your dad was alive right now because I would want to tell him what an impact he made and how grateful I am for everything I learned at Bell South to prepare me for where I am right now today.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. I was thinking about the Yellow Pages, and when you were saying that, we're getting off on some. I want to get to your story.
No, it's fine.
But when I graduated from college, I thought I was going to go to law school, and I wanted to start getting in. Get a job and start understanding the business. And so I didn't know anybody. My parents weren't connected to anybody. And so the first thing I did is I pulled out the Yellow Pages and I just started going through calling all the law firms in Jacksonville. And I didn't realize that they could buy another spot down lower. And they're trying to buy numbers, catch the people to call. And after a while, the ladies that were answering the phone go, "Sir, you've already called here 3 times." And I was like, wow, I guess you can have different places in the Yellow Pages.
Well, in my beginning days when money was really tight, I would go through and call pawn shops looking for used water skis and equipment for the boat. No kidding.
Wow.
Wetsuits and stuff like that.
That whole concept's kind of weird when you think about it. You can just see people's names and phone numbers in a big book.
Yes.
And, we couldn't carry it around. You weren't going to have it, with you. We didn't have any reason to.
It was much more difficult to follow up with the young lady that you met when you're a teenager because you're going through the phone book and you know the last name or maybe the first name. You're like, I could call these 3 people and you get 1 out of 3 chance to find the young lady again. It's not like today where you can just go on Instagram or whatever.
Great memories.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah. All right, so Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
And you were the marketing...
the director of marketing for the whole 9-state region.
And so then tell us the rest of the story. I mean, there's a pretty big jump from Yellow Pages to being the Boatanista.
Yeah, so what happened was when Jim and I were dating and we had the boat together, we were breaking up and he was going to sell the boat. So I called my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, Jim's going to sell the boat and I think I'm going to buy it." My dad's like, "Oh, you better think about that single woman." I go, "Yeah, okay, Dad, I'll think about it." I called him back 2 days later. I go, I thought about it and I bought it.
That's awesome.
And I need you to come up to Jacksonville and help me set the dock lines and paint the bottom. So I was living at the condos on San Jose and they had slips there. So I bought the boat. And so what I was telling you at lunch, for me, I began to understand the difference between loving what you do and having a passion for what you do.
Yeah.
So my passion has always been boating, and I loved my years at Bell South, and I loved what I did, but it was different than the passion that I have for Freedom Boat Club. So anyway, Bell South had the boat. You know, my life was about getting on the boat after work and on the weekends, and who was going to drive me, and how many people could I teach to water ski?
Right.
You know, my sister and I were talking about it. Her bridal shower was at my house, and every girl had to learn how to water ski.
That's fun.
And I have a good friend that I've grown up with who was a skier, and he loves telling the story about, he called me and said he was coming to Jacksonville for work, and I said, okay, bring your bathing suit, I'll pick you up at the airport, and like 30 minutes later we're in the water skiing.
That's awesome.
You know? And so Bell South and AT&T were merging back together again, as you know, and Bell South had been a company that cared about the people, cared about the product, and cared about the customer. And I feel so grateful to have grown up in a company like that. AT&T was not that. Mm-hmm. They cared about the spreadsheet and the almighty dollar. And as the transition began happening, I was like, I don't think I can work for this company. My heart is not there, and it just doesn't line up with my values. So I found out they had a thing, age plus years equals 65, and you could leave with your 401k. So 5 years from full retirement, I walk out the door with my 401k.
Oh, wow.
And I remember my dad was not happy. As a matter of fact,
I wouldn't think so.
It took me 3 months to tell him I had left. Like, I couldn't even tell him because I was so afraid of what he was going to say. And I remember calling him, and I'm like, he's like, are you crazy? You know, the benefits, you were 5 years from retirement. You know, you're never going to find a job and make, you know, that kind of money. And I was like, Dad, I want to do something that, you know, connects with my heart. And he's like, okay. You know, like, what do you say to that? And
you got to pay the rent.
Yeah. Yep.
You ain't moving in with me.
Yeah.
That's what he can say to that.
Yeah. Figure it out. But you know what? In my heart of hearts, I knew if I have to go back to waiting tables or working at Home Depot, like, I'll find a job. I'm not, you know,
right.
Like,
not gonna starve.
Yeah, I can. I'm a get it done girl. Glass is half full. I'll find something. And so, you know, I'm a woman of faith, and I began praying every day. And I was like, God, show me, point me. What am I supposed to be doing? Like, I'm ready to do your work. And then one day I got a phone call from a girl that I worked with at Bell South. And so you can totally picture this in 2007. Yellow Pages is going down the tubes, not doing well at all. So they hired MG as a consultant to build a training package called The Power of Print Advertising to go around to all the locations and train the reps and get them excited. And it was going to be a combination of print and digital.
It's dead man walking, but I want you to get excited about it.
That's exactly it. I mean, it really was. And so anyway, she called me. She goes, hey, are you ready to get off the boat? Because I'd been boating for a few months, you know, relaxing. I said, well, what do you got? And so she told me, and she said, you know, I'll pay you X amount of dollars, you know, plus expenses, you know, consulting. It was really good. And I said, okay, I'm in. And so I did that for a year. And as you can imagine, I mean, things are just getting worse.
Yeah.
They're not selling. They wanted us to renew and start a whole digital package, but I was like, it's not in my heart. So I was really blessed at my level with Bell South. We had cashless stock exchange options, which you're supposed to wait till you're retired to, you know, exchange. But I said to myself, okay, I'm going to take this amount of options. I'm going to exercise them. And this is going to be my salary for 2007. And I'm going to give myself 1 year to reinvent myself. And, you know, I bought books, Finding Your Passion, Reinventing Yourself. But literally, I was praying every day. And then I got a phone call one day from one of my great boater buds. And he's like, hey, I got a job for you. I'm like, what is it? And he said, selling boat club. I mean, he got boat out. I go, what? And he goes, yeah, we're going on a 62-foot yacht. I go, when do I need to be there? Like, what is this? I'm there. And so I went. And it was the franchise owner here in Jacksonville had had a tragic accident. His son had died in a motorcycle wreck. And really had kind of gotten off kilter and had gotten into business with this company called Aqua Direct. And they were like doing a multi-level marketing for the membership side of the business. It was totally illegal according to the franchise agreement. What I would find out later is that in our Freedom Boat Club franchise system, if a franchise owner gets into a problem, what they'll do is shut them down. They'll take over corporate until they find the new owner,
Right.
so that there's seamless for the members, which is awesome.
Right.
And so so anyway, I got on with them. It was a complete and total mess. And Jeff, my friend who'd gotten me into it, one day saw me with my shirt on, and he's like, "What? You got that Aqua Direct shirt on? What are you doing it?" And I said, "Oh, no, I'm on a team. I'm gonna get it fixed. He goes, "Lisa, it's rotten at the top. It's never gonna be good down below." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like, these are some true words that he just spoke.
Right.
And I was so heartbroken because I thought this was it.
Yeah.
And now it's August of 07. December's coming pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I went home.
Your year's worth of salary is coming to an end.
Yeah. So I'm like, Home Depot's looking, or wherever's waiting tables. So I wrote an email and resigned and said, I can't be a part of this, and went back, got on my hands and knees and was like, show me. And then a couple weeks later, someone called and they said, Freedom shut them down. They're going to come back as a corporate location. They're going to hire somebody. And I was like, I hear someone at my door. I got to go. And I literally started calling, emailing, texting, because I couldn't find the job online. Finally, the director of sales at that time, John Giglio, calls me up and he goes, you can stop. We're going to interview you. I'm like, okay. I just wanted you to know who I was, because I really wanted the job. And so they came, they scheduled the interview, and now it starts getting interesting. 12 people applied, 11 men and 1 woman, me. And I would find out from them 3 years later that on their discussion of driving from headquarters at Sarasota to here, they had already decided they would give me a cursory interview.
Oh.
There was no way a woman could do the job until they met me.
And then you knocked their socks off. And
then actually the vice president was struggling with my whole, he called me the next day after they interviewed me, and he said, we're really interested in you. However, I'm struggling with the fact that your life was so planned out, and then you just walk away 5 years from retirement. There's got to be a secret there. And I said, no secret. I just knew there was something better for me, and that I could, I was going to be okay. He said, okay, we want to offer you the job.
Wow.
So I think there's many lessons in your story so far that we've heard. But I'm thinking about entrepreneurs or people from the business community that are watching this, especially the young ones that are just getting started in their careers, young professionals. What would you say to them about betting on themselves? Because you sure did. I mean, we heard that you kind of did the non-conventional thing and decided that you were going to take a chance because you knew you were skilled and had what it took. What would you say to them? Trust
your intuition and don't listen to anybody else. You know inside of you what the truth is. And I say that's the Holy Spirit, intuition, whatever works for you. But that is the truth, and never give up on yourself. And, just keep going, keep trying. Like I said, I'm the girl half, it's half full. It's even today, finding the spot. We went through 2 or 3 or 4 different things, and I was like, we'll figure it out. We're going to work something out. And now we have chairs from Mavi, the restaurant. I want to give a shout out. Thank you. And, we're doing it in the wind. And so don't give up. Believe in yourself. Just keep going. Surround yourself with people that will support you and tell you how you can get it done.
That's good.
And not give you the negative, yes, you need to look for, things, but basically you want to have people who are going to support you and say, yes, if there's a will, there's a way, and you can get it done. And there always is a way. People give up too soon is what I think and I say. And they don't believe in themselves. I believed in myself, and I loved boating so much that it just, oozed out of me.
I think that is the secret, is number one, surrounding yourself with people. I know where I fall short, and I try to surround myself with people that have the same passion, but complement where I fall short. And it's been a pretty good recipe for success so far. And I love the fact that you want to follow your passion, because my passion is the love of Jacksonville.
Yes.
And I found a job where they'll pay me to love on Jacksonville. And it really comes through. I mean, you can see when people have a passion for their business.
Oh.
And it's contagious.
It's 100%. The interesting thing was, so they hire me and this is 2007. Well, they're literally, you can still find the article in the Times-Union. There's a full page article about how bad Freedom Boat Club was, how they stole boats from people and how they're not to be trusted and all that. So I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with an economy in 2007, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And even I had a good friend who was in the boating business. I called him up and I said, "Hey, Walt, I want to get you to do all my electronics." He's like, "Oh, I'm not working for that company. They're a ripoff, this and that. Why are you working for them?" And so I'm facing all of that, coupled with the fact that it was one of the coldest winters. We had like 4 freezes. And so I think it was 5 or 6 weeks later, I hadn't had one membership sale. And so the 2 of them come up to fire me. And I just remember, just feeling inside, just so defeated, and you're not giving me a chance. But when they came in, I thank you for all my Bell South training, because it was a union organization that I managed in. So I knew HR and I knew, the things that's the steps they were supposed to take. And they ended up giving me some feedback that was not appropriate. I wrote it down. And then after I wrote it down, I looked up and said, "You realize what you just said to me is illegal."
Well, you got to tell us what the feedback was. I mean, you can't not tell us.
Okay, so they were saying you haven't sold a membership, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. And we just think your skills from selling Yellow Pages to selling memberships doesn't, move over. So I said, "Oh, okay, great." I get out my line drill pad and I said, "So what are my AFIs?" And I just smiled. I knew they wouldn't know. They're like, "What?" I go, "My areas for improvement." And they're like, "Oh." I said, "So is it my approach? Is it my presentation? Is it when I'm, interviewing? Is it my close or my leads?" "Oh, it's not my leads. You take care of that." "Oh, it can't be the rest." "I don't know. You have never seen me do it. So how would you know? What feedback do you actually have for me on what I need to improve on?" And he said, "Well, we've seen many of the women at the marinas, and I'm wearing basically what I'm wearing today." He goes, "Most of them look more like men than the women, and we think you're intimidating the women." So I said, "Oh, hold on." I wrote it down exactly as they said it. I read it back and said, "This is my feedback." And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay."
Great. Perfect.
"You realize what you said is illegal." And then they both kind of looked at each other and went, and in the meantime, I'm fighting back the tears. I'm just like, because I know.
Because there's a reality too of you're doing something you love and you're about to be fired.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's emotional,
Yeah.
and you feel like you're not doing a good job. I felt like I wasn't doing a good job, and I knew I could. And so I just looked at him. I said, "Look, I can do this job. You're just going to give me a moment to do it." And anyway, they left. And I called my girlfriend, the one who hired me. And I said, "Gee, they want to fire me." She goes, "Oh my gosh, do they know who you are? Do they know who Lisa Almeida is? Shut up and get back to work. You can do this." And
talking about people that are in your corner and pushing you to be. Yeah.
Yep. And then I had another friend who I called, John Glover, and said, "This happened and whatever." And he goes, "Hey, hold on a minute. Didn't you tell me that you felt like this was a gift from God and the Holy Spirit?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "So what do you think you should be doing?" I said, "Praying and get back to work." He goes, "That'd be a great start." And he prayed with me. Yeah. And that summer, I actually sold more memberships than they did in Sarasota, because they had red tide and they were having problems selling memberships, and turned it around.
You should have said, "I'm here to give you some feedback on how you can sell some memberships."
But, it was back to what we were saying. I love my city. I love boating, and the passion just oozed out of me, and I really believe if you have not been on a boat in this city, get on one. You don't have to join my club, rent a boat, buy a boat, but it's incredible. there's so many beautiful places to see, and you see it from a totally different perspective.
Exactly.
Like
Really
a perspective that you would never have experienced. One of my favorite things is to take people who have never been downtown by boat to see our downtown, and then Fort George. I mean, that's like our little piece of heaven on earth. And so it's, if you're passionate about it and you believe in and then the other thing, Bell South taught me so many wonderful things, but I'll never forget going through training. They said, if you walk into a person's business and you're there with the attitude of, I'm here to make a sale, you'll never be successful. Walk in with, I'm here to make your business better. Spend the time finding out how you can put the best program together for them to be successful. And that was my mindset with Freedom Boat Club. I want your family to get on the water and make memories that last a lifetime, that you're just having so much fun with your kids, laughing, and they're enjoying it, and they're getting skills that they would have never gotten before. And when that is inside of you, people can't help but connect to it.
And I would tell you that you talked about taking people that have never been on the water to see Jacksonville from the water.
Yeah.
And we do that all the time with our prospects that are looking to move to Jacksonville. Yeah. And we'll take them from the Hyatt and take them to a location for dinner. And it really is a perspective. And we've won many job opportunities in Jacksonville awesome. Just because of being on the water. It really is something special once you get a chance to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, for me, the first time a member walks in the office and their grin is so big, it's, almost filling up the room. And they're like, I took my daughter tubing today, or we saw dolphins on the water. I mean, that you can't duplicate that kind of joy that comes in your heart from hearing and seeing that, the first time the kids get up on water skis. I mean, literally my grandchildren just recently, the last month, both of them have gotten up on skis. And literally when Camille got up, and she's 11, she was like, we're cheering and everything. Right. She's like, doing a little dance, like, I can do it.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just, to me, that's what life's about.
Yeah. You can tell it brings joy to your life to be able to do that.
Yeah. And, and the other thing I think that I love so much about boating is there's this, the river runs through us. The water runs through us. There's this connectivity. Like, we help each other. Everybody reaches out and helps each other. And, you need something, we're doing it for you. It's like an example of how I wish the world was out in real life.
Everybody's waving to each other.
Yeah. Who's waving in the cars? Yeah. You're not going to wave. But on the boat, it's like the little John boat goes by and you're like, and you're in a big cruiser and you're just waving like it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So when we were talking at lunch, you talked about your passion for Jacksonville.
Yes.
And TJ and I both have passion for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And he gets a chance to work with us at the chamber, helping folks that, are strapped with addiction and how that affects the business and life of people in this city. And I wanted to see if you could explain some of your passions about Jacksonville. I know you've been involved with doing some special events in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about that.
So the first one is going to be obvious, the boat parade. So, the downtown boat parade that happens the Saturday after Thanksgiving. The first time I ever went to, I have goosebumps right now just talking about it.
Do.
The first time I ever went to it, I was like, this is incredible. First of all, the creativity of the boaters, I was blown away at what they would come up with. Seeing the boats going down the river with the Main Street Bridge and, the Acosta Bridge and the lights and Christmas music, it's like just opening up your heart. And then the city signature fireworks that only happen that night. I was like hooked. I'm going to be in this boat parade every year, all the time. So fast forward, there's some budget issues. The boat parade gets canceled. And one of my dearest friends was the assistant city dock manager.
I don't think I was on the city council.
It was all your fault.
That might have been after I was on the city. Don't tell me what year it was.
All your fault.
Not blaming anybody, but
sorry.
But Scott calls me up and he says, "Hey, they canceled the boat parade." I go, "Hi, you're so funny. like, because everyone knows how passionate I am. I mean, and he's like, no, I'm seriously. So I go, no, there's no. He goes, no, I'm serious. I'm like, what? And then I'm like looking for the article. And then I called Jim Suber, who's the city dock manager. And I was like, we can't let this happen. And so literally he put together a team, and I say of renegades. It was like the guy who did the parking, the people from the landing, me, and a bunch of boaters. And do you know, we saved the parade. So we got the president at that time, the mayor, to do a public-private partnership. And they paid for the Coast Guard and the stuff like that and everything. And then we raised the money. We did the advertising, the social media, and we kept it going. And for the first 2 years, we did really well. And then the third year, we were struggling getting money. And at that time, when we had the marina, I would do these boat gates to the Jaguar game. So we'd get like 6-7 boats and take our members and do a boat gate. And so I had all my members there on the dock, and I'm just passionately going, like, any sponsorship you can do, any donation, like, we've got to make this happen. And then they all leave, and this guy comes up next to me and he hands me his business card, John Rowland, and he goes, I own the barge. I'm going to donate the barge, which was a big dollar item, which he ended up doing for the next 3 years for us, which was awesome. And then Gator Bowl took it back over, and then now the city took it back over. But my biggest fear was if we let it go,
it'd never come back.
It would never come back, So that was one thing. The other thing is doing charity boat rides for, children is, so we've done, Father's Harbor, Dreams Come True. We've done Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And, we get these kids on boats who've never been on boats before, bring them lunch, take them to lunch, and, get them to get that experience. And then I did Dancing with the Stars, raised money. I got second place.
Congratulations.
Wow. They were maybe 3 for 3 on Dancing with the Stars here.
Raised money for the children's chorus. So, all of those things, it's like, it's important, to have like all of the structure inside a city and, us supporting each other and working together. And that's what's important to me.
Yeah. And it's not just the nuts and bolts of the city's responsibility is to keep the citizens safe, make sure you have proper infrastructure, keep parks open, police officers on the street, all of that functional nuts and bolts of government.
Right.
But it's the citizens that add the fun and the quality of life.
Well, look at Riverside Art Market.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great testament to one person can make a difference.
Yeah.
And those are the types of things that I love about the city. And I love that, I really, people are willing to help each other. At any time, most of the time, if I reach out to a business, they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. And I'm willing to help them, like working together. And I think that's so important. Then when you add the water to it.
That's what sets Jacksonville apart from many other cities is the willingness of organizations to collaborate, the business community to get together and work on things and set aside differences for the betterment of the city.
100%.
It's totally different. And we've heard this from people that have lived in many different cities that we've been able to interview. They say Jacksonville is unique in that way.
Right. Well, so the new boat that we got downtown, the Royal Princess, you know about this? Mm-hmm. The minute I found out about it, I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, how can I help you? Like, I want to help you. And so I've met them and been on the boat and, I want to do anything and everything I can to support that effort.
And the city's doing their part too.
Yes.
I mean, we have a number of new marinas under construction.
Yes.
That for so long, people have, you used to pull up to the Jacksonville Landing, which many people don't even know what that is anymore. And you would have a place to go. And so now I think the future is bright.
Yes.
And with all the money that over $80 million the city's putting into the parks along the river, making sure that they have programming and people are involved in activating the river.
Gateway Jacks. I mean, there's so many things happening.
We really do have a bright future in downtown Jacksonville.
Can we get the Main Street Bridge lights back on? I really miss them. Do you know about this?
I will talk to the elected officials. I'm not an elected official
It's
anymore.
so beautiful when the whole thing is lit up. It's beautiful.
I'm sure they'll all watch this and we can make that appealing.
It's just a chip, they said. They just need some chip. But so it's such a joy and I am like really enthusiastic about everything that's happening.
Downtown. I've never noticed you being enthusiastic about anything. you really need to up it a little bit for the podcast. But we can tell you're enthusiastic.
I'm talking about everything that's going on downtown.
Yeah,
It's going to be really cool. Yeah, I keep saying we're growing up.
Yeah. There is so many good things happening. I go to at least one meeting a day where I'm walking away going, holy cow, that's going to change Jacksonville forever. And then you go to another one, you go, man, that's going to change Jacksonville forever.
Yes.
And it's really fun to be a part of that.
Yes,
and
it is.
It's exciting for people that have never been here. We're bringing so many companies here, all these new employers that really didn't even know where Jacksonville was on the map. And then they come here and they go, I'm never leaving this place because it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's fun to be a part of that.
It is fun to be a part of it. Yeah. And what you said earlier about the water, that's like my story. Like water everywhere. How many cities do you know have the river, the intercoastal, and the ocean? So, my members can go in the fresh water one day and salt water, and then they can go offshore and catch fish. And it's awesome.
It is. And I was telling TJ about this. It's hard to, like when you go to Nashville, they're the music city. That's the thing that they are.
Right.
Okay. Right. Or Louisville, they're going to talk to you about bourbon or whatever they have.
Yeah.
Here we have so many things. We're so large that each community has its own distinct flavor. But the one thing that we have that's connecting every one of those communities is a body of water or a river or the intercoastal or the ocean. And it's really cool to think it is the water life here in Jacksonville.
You can steal my line. A river runs through them.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I'll steal it. I do. I'd steal great ideas all the time.
Me too.
And see if I can make them a little bit better.
So you have been on the water most of your life.
Yes.
If we tried to guess the amount of hours, we probably couldn't.
Do
you have an idea?
But this is so funny. This weekend we were on the creek with my kids skiing or whatever, and I said, I wonder how many hours I've been on just this creek and how many people I've taught. I'm really going to try to make a list of how many people I've taught to water ski in my lifetime.
Oh, you should. Yeah.
That'd be cool. But I just wonder, what are some of your favorite memories of being on the water through the years?
Okay, so we Freedom Boat Club and Happy Hour 904, Charles, who you know. Yeah. We did an event called Floatapalooza at Fort George. And it was I actually think it was Charles's idea. And we had the band, the Boogie Freaks, they're a local band that everybody knows, playing on top of a houseboat out at Fort George. We never dreamed of how big this event would be. I can't even begin to tell you how many boats were out there and how much fun it was. And I kind of had to talk the Boogie Freaks into it because they're like, wait, what? We're going to be on top of a boat? Like, how's this going to work? And I have a video of them. They're playing, and he's like, Keith, the lead guy's like, I didn't know how much fun this was going to be. But to see all of those people just dancing and connecting and just having, a great time was just one of my most favorite memories. And we had, I think we had like 20 boats rafted up that were, spending the night. And that's one of my favorite memories. Yeah.
So TJ and I work hard every day to bring more jobs to Jacksonville.
Yes.
And we talk to each one of our guests about, like, I can tell you love your job right now. Yes. Okay. Very clear.
Thanks.
But not everybody, starts off in the job that they love. Can you think of one off the top of your head that might have been the worst job you've ever had?
I thought you were going to ask me that question, but it's so interesting. I really haven't had a worse job. When my first job out of college, I waited tables and worked at Williamson's restaurant, and the owner was a great mentor. I really have not had a job that was like a worst.
That is so cool.
I think because I loved people, I loved the hecticness of waiting tables and all of that. And then my first job out of college was a college recruiter for JU, and I got to travel all over the Northeast and talk to, students. And so I really haven't had a job that was my worst job.
That's awesome.
I know. I feel blessed.
I wish we had that story, but we don't have that story.
I think that's the first time anybody's said that.
Everybody can think
I will say I got fired from a job.
Okay.
That was kind of.
You got to tell us that story now.
What did you do?
Oh, I was in college, and I was waiting tables at Scarlett O'Hara's, and not being very responsible, showing up late, leaving early, and it was the only job I ever got fired from, and I was devastated.
Taught you a lesson.
Oh yeah, I cleaned up my act after that for sure.
It seems like that would help you clean up your act. we talked about getting fired before. It does help you put things.
Yeah,
in perspective.
you know, I just being unruly. Like this is kind of crazy, but they had that same thing. Like Daryl's did. You know, they wanted that wholesome look. So like you were supposed to have your nails painted or jewelry or whatever. And I showed up with jewelry and my nails painted and whatever. They wanted like that wholesome, you know, whatever. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? It's not a, you know. I just thought the rules didn't matter for me. Well, they told me.
You found out that they did.
That's awesome. So one of the other things we ask, if you could say the one thing that you love about Jacksonville, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? What do you love most about this place? I
just love the friendliness of it, the camaraderie, the joy of the people. It's heartfelt.
Yeah.
And I love that.
It is.
That's what people say, right? That's the common theme when we ask that question.
Really?
Yeah.
Is the people.
Yeah.
And I used to, when I was in the legislature, I would have friends from Miami or Tampa or Orlando come and say, how does Jacksonville do this? Like the entire business community works together for, you know, a purpose to bring the Jags to town or another big issue.
Yeah.
And in our cities, everybody's fighting with each other. And I go, it's really, the community is a weird thing that is true. It's real, you know, and it seems like everybody knows everybody and they're connected.
It's funny. I'm sure a lot of people remember the day that they made the announcement, you know, that we got the Jaguars. Yeah. And I was actually training at Bell South, and I'm not a football, like I mean, I know you make a touchdown and all that and everything, but when it comes to like, I don't know everything about football. I mean, I love going to the games, the socialness of it and whatever. People knew that about me. And so when they were training and they made the announcement, I'm like screaming, I'm hooting and hollering. And one of the girls that works for me, she's like, you don't even like football. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm so excited for the city. Yeah. Like, this is for the city. We got this. Like, do you know what this is going to do for us? And that's how I feel. Everybody feels about us, you know?
I agree. That's why I love it so much.
Tell her that conversation we had at TPC with that prospect that we were showing around.
It was kind of funny. We were walking to one of the holes to watch a specific player, and I had a prospect, a pretty big international company, and loved golf, and so we were walking through, and we would see people we knew the whole way over there. And I said, hey, this is a prospect. I didn't mention the company, but tell them a little bit about what you love about Jacksonville. Oh, you have to come to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's the best place on the planet. And it happened like 4 or 5 times before we even get to the tee box to watch the golfer golf. And he looks at me and goes, am I on the Truman Show? He was like,
I love that.
And I go, okay, you got the left bush, send them in. You know, like we were talking on the intercom, and he thought it was pretty funny, but awesome. It really was. It was unscripted. Everybody said the same thing. Everybody loved the city and why they should move their company here. Yep. And it felt a little bit make believe. Like I couldn't have planned it any better.
That's so awesome and very true.
It is very true.
Yeah.
So. We ask all the guests that come on the show if they have a favorite picture or something they wanted to talk about. Do you have one?
I actually do have one. Thank you.
Don't let it blow away.
I won't let it blow away. So this is a picture of my mom, my dad, and me. Wow. I think I'm 3 years old at a ski tournament. You can see they've got their skis. They actually did win. They don't have their trophies in there. And me sitting there, and I just love that our bathing suits are coordinated because that's what, you know, they did. So cool. And my mom said that she would take me, like if my dad was in the Army, so sometimes he couldn't go to the tournaments. Right. She said that she would take me and they'd go, oh, we see you've got your chaperone with you.
That is awesome. Can I see
and
it?
So it's just...
like those old skis.
I know. And the bathing suit, everything.
It's like they were wooden skis, and I can remember when I first started. Heavy. Yeah, when I first started out. Yeah. Skiing on a pair of wooden skis. And
I think the name of my next boat is going to be in my DNA. Oh, because great. I think
you definitely.
I was going to be. I was going to be the Boatanista. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
So international boat stuff. Have you been able to go to
I have not, but
Events.
I had a member a couple weeks ago text me a video and a picture of him at a Freedom Boat Club in Sydney in front of the Opera House. Because, we have worldwide locations.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. And I've had another member go to Italy, another member go to France. Like, it's just, it's
cool.
amazing. Yeah, it's really cool.
And so you're growing too.
Yes, we are.
We bring more companies here.
Yes.
They want to get on the water.
Yes.
How is that affecting you and your business?
So it's been amazing. So when we first started, when I took that job in 2007, we had 40 members and 4 boats in one location. We have 135 boats in fleet and 5 locations right now.
Wow.
And I don't want to talk about it, but we're working on a couple more locations.
Right.
So I'm really, enthusiastic about that.
Is Jacksonville seen as one of the best locations in the country?
Well, we're like the top 4.
Top 4.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think to myself, and I hope you won't take this in the wrong way, but Podunk Jacksonville, it's like, it's not anymore. You know what I'm saying? But like people would think about it that way.
Right.
And we're not that.
Right.
And it's just been amazing. But to me, it's just a statement of tenacity, believing in what you are and what you have and being passionate and knowing that it can happen and not giving up.
So what would you say to somebody that is interested in boating, has zero experience? Like, what's a first step that people can take? Do you offer something that
Yes.
can kind of introduce them to?
So I really love helping people decide whether or not they should buy a boat or join a club, because there are people who need to own a boat. Like
Right.
yourself, myself, people who want it to really be their lifestyle and that's what they want to do, or they want to do things outside of what we offer. But for the person who's never boated before, we're perfect because we have licensed captains on staff. We have a very robust training program, one-on-one. So they take their Florida, course online, and then they have a course online that we do. And then they go out with the captain one-on-one and learn all the skills. And they have unlimited access to our captains to go out as much as they want to hone their skills if they'd like to.
Wow.
They do an inshore training and an offshore training. And so, really, some of our members are trained better than some of the people that are on the water.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just someone who wants to get into boating, the Power Squadron, has classes. As an industry, there is yet to be like a training school that would be like the next step, and one of my captains really wants to do it here in Jacksonville, where anybody could pay a captain to go out and learn no matter what. But there are captains available, like my captain. I know a couple other captains that you can hire them, and they'll get on your boat with you and teach you, how to drive. So that is available. Yeah.
One of my favorite Instagram is the qualified captain.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
And what people do coming into the boat.
It's not good.
It is not good.
No.
And you think
And every
about,
time I look at it, I'm like,
Please don't let that be us.
yes. Yeah. I'm thinking on a day like this, if your first time person was coming in, it would be like beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
Every boat on the way.
well,
in.
there's a small craft advisory today, so we're
you're
closed.
not going. You're not going out today.
But
What's
we
the
teach.
craziest? What's the craziest story about somebody with one of your boats?
Not sure I want to tell that one.
Come on.
But we do have in here in our office, we have several pictures of boats like totally out of the water, and it says, know your tides, don't lose your pride.
Right.
And we teach slow is pro. But I guess I could tell this story. It's pretty funny, actually. I was out at Fort George, and when I'm out at Fort George, I walk the sandbar and I find my boats.
Right.
And I see the people and I go, hey, is that Freedom Boat Club boat? And then sometimes I get recognized, sometimes I don't, and they'll start talking. I go, okay, full disclosure, I'm the owner. And then they're like, blah, 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 whatever. So there was these people, they were out there and they were like, the tide was going out. And I said, hey, you guys are going to get grounded. They're like, no, we're okay. Well, they did. And then I was like, you're not, they said, oh, we'll call someone to get us off. I go, no, once you're out of, you can't pull you.
gotta wait.
Like, you're going to wait.
Yeah.
You're going to be late. You're going to have to pay the late fee. And they did, you know. It was like, why aren't you listening to the owner?
Yeah.
You're going to get grounded. I don't know.
Yeah, my son told me on Memorial Day that he and buddies were taking boats up to Fort George Island. I said,
Yeah.
nope, you're not. He's like, Dad, we all want to go. I go, yeah, I know you want to go, but there is no way you're going up there with a bunch of high schoolers to Fort George Island on Memorial Day.
That was a good decision on your part.
On my part, yes.
I will tell you a crazy story. So when we first moved in here, can I share this real quick? This is a great story about tenacity.
Yeah.
So the old Freedom Boat Club franchise was here at Jacksonville Beach. When they shut it down and all that and everything, Jacksonville Boat Club across the way came and put a couple boats here and had them sign a no compete so that Freedom couldn't get back in. So we had members who wanted access to the beach and wanted to, come boat at the beach. So every year I'm like, can we come? Can we come? Can we come? Can we come? 8 years. Anyway, the 8th year, I'm on my way to a dentist appointment, literally. And I'm driving over the bridge and something said, go talk to Sam. Sam was the general manager at that time, Sam Taylor, Samantha. And I was like, oh, I'm on the way. And then it was like, no, go. So I'm like, okay. So I turn around, I come in and I walk in and the secretary says, I said, hey, is Samantha here? She's like, oh, she's at lunch. I said, oh, okay. Well, I just stopped by. She goes, hold on a minute. Let me call her. Like, that was weird. So she calls her and she says, I'm going to be back in a few minutes. Can you ask her to wait? I'm like, I'm waiting. So she comes in and she's like, yeah, we tore that building down. They never really brought the boats here. They only did it so you couldn't get here. So would you guys like to open up here?
Wow.
And I'm like, where are the contracts? Let me have them right now. And literally I had been asking and asking and asking for 8 years.
Wow.
So,
that's a great story.
It's just keep asking.
It's another lesson, right?
Yes, perseverance, and just keep believing, and it'll happen when the timing is right.
Well,
so, but I was going to tell you the story.
Yeah.
We didn't have an office. They had no office for us. This wasn't available. So we bought an 80-foot houseboat and called it our Boffice. And it used to be on the dock over there, and we wrapped it Freedom Boat Club and everything. Well, when this became available and we started growing and getting bigger than the houseboat, we needed to sell it. So our captain, Robbie D, comes to check out the boat. They had put the props on the day before, new props on it, right? Okay, this little mini slip over here, he's backing out, wind, whatever. It gets out in the current. They put the left prop on the right and the right prop on the left, so everything was backwards.
Oh, no.
And he's like, everything's backwards, we figure it out, whatever it was. But he got that boat back in that slip, not one sweat until we were docked. And they was like,
big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Wow. I've been a new boater.
Yes.
And we decided to go out in the intercoastal, and the river has some current, but not like you would see here.
Yes.
And there were some very, it's crazy how you will yell at your family when you're trying to dock a boat, and you would never yell at your kids any other time. But when you're panicking and they're just sitting around looking at you, it's crazy what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. We teach slow is pro.
Yes.
And you obviously haven't read my blog that talks about don't yell when you're screaming.
Well, I did not. I did not know what to do, but now we do. And I do. First time I took the boat in to get the maintenance on it, I was puttering up to the dock so slow. And they go, well, you go as slow as you want to run into something with the boat. I guess you want to go pretty slow and soft. And I was like, yeah, it was a pretty embarrassing moment.
So you mentioned a blog. Is that connected to the website?
So Boatanista.com.
Okay.
I have a blog. It's all things boating.
Yeah.
So it's not about Freedom Boat Club. It's just all about boating. But it talks about, things you need to think about when you take your dog. What are life vests? How should life vests fit? Mechanical things. It just has all things,
that sounds really helpful.
Yeah, it's very yes.
Beginner boaters.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't understand, if you're going to do something, why don't you want to be really good at it?
Yeah.
I want to dock like a boss, I want someone to, and be proud of what I do. So, yeah.
Well, don't watch me dock then. Well, listen, time goes by really fast.
Yes.
We're already over time.
Okay.
I know. And so I would say this has turned out
been
pretty
fun.
good. Pretty
Yeah,
fun
it's been fun.
to hear your passion for Jacksonville
Thank
and
you.
for being on the water. And we want to do everything we can to help you become more successful.
And you do, and you have. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. And thanks for today.
Yeah, thanks
Awesome.
for coming on.
Glad to have you on.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Speakeasy Jacks. If you enjoyed the conversation, follow us on our social media platforms, share it with a friend, and make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.